This video has season 4 anime spoilers. Please click out if you don't want to be spoiled. I'm going to be brutally honest for this video and a tad bit personal, or at least however personal I could be without giving way too much information about my personal life. And so if you don't want a brutal honesty, click out now. With that out of the way, let's get right into this video. I'll be speaking from the perspective of a person who was a previous anime only, but has read the manga and thus already knew exactly what would happen this season. So no surprise factor could be here for me. It was mainly the enjoyment of seeing something I read a long time ago and seeing if I could really remember what the hell happened from what I read previously. So because of that, this review will be very different from a person who is an anime only, who might be like a lot more excited and like, you know, like surprised by the turn of events that happened or didn't expect certain things. I already knew what to expect going into this season, so I just wanted to clarify that before we get into the actual like general thoughts on the season as a whole. I don't have the time to play spot the differences between the anime and the manga, so I'm just gonna give my general overall opinions based on my vague memory of the manga, which probably won't be reliable because my memory sucks ass. So this is the opinion of a person who has read the manga but doesn't treat the manga like a sacred text and doesn't reread the manga usually at all. I usually just read it once and then like let that be my one time ago like knowledge of what has happened, and then like I move on, and I haven't stayed up to date, so like don't leave any manga spoilers in the comments. I have not picked up like current manga updates at all ever since, I forget what chapter I was at, like 101. I can't remember the exact number, but I'm definitely behind on the manga. Yeah, like I don't view the manga as like something to compare it like to the T unless I feel the moment is super significant, like I did for the season 3 finale, where if a certain specific moment had a special place in my heart and it didn't serve as beautifully as it did in the manga, then I will bring it up. I just remember the plot elements and not specific wording or exact executions of the concept. I'm going to be brutally honest in this general wrap-up review. I don't think my head was in the best place this or last month for me to enjoy this season thoroughly. I needed to be there for my family in the beginning of April, and I myself needed to take time to myself to process what happened. Because of this, I don't think I was at my happiest and basically was behind a bunch of episodes throughout the season's airing. I was always behind on episodes and never really caught up because of what was going on in my life. I know it's ironic because I made that community post about wanting to watch this season sooner, but I just ended up behind in episodes. In actuality, I am an inconsistent fool. I know, that is just how I am as a person. None of what I say makes sense sometimes, but it's not like I could predict the future or like know what would have happened in my life. So really, Bungou Stray Dogs just came out when I wasn't feeling as much hype or happiness due to my in real life stuff that was happening. Due to this, I don't have extremely fond memories as I watch the show, since I'm going to be associated with this specific time of my life. Usually anime is a good happy escape, and I've used haiku and like other anime in the past to lift up my bad mood, but for some reason watching Bungou Stray Dogs felt tiring for me, and I often put off watching episodes throughout this season's running. In short, my headspace just wasn't there for Bungou Stray Dogs specifically, and since I kept putting off episodes, I will not have the perspective of a person who is waiting week by week, so I won't really know if the week by week basis was a good pace overall, since I ended up watching them at least in pairs or like 3 episodes in a row. Hello, bitches. Despite what happened in real life with me in March to the beginning of April, I still think this season is a solid good season. Did it leave me as amazed as that early season 1 and 2 combination when I first watched those seasons together? No, because season 2 holds a special place in my heart. But did some amazing plot happen this season which was better than the overall feel of a 3rd season? Yes. Yes, completely. The plot for this season was definitely a lot more exciting and memorable than the previous season. And I didn't feel a moment where I was disappointed so extremely like in season 3 finale. Did this season have a faster pace? Yes. Do I think that was on purpose? The answer is yes. I think this season feels fast because the plot of this season is supposed to be fast. They're on a time limit and the agency is in trouble and they have to work fast to fix things, since they're being chased by the hunting dogs who work extremely fast and obliterate you in 0.2 seconds. So the fast pace made sense to me. I saw in a previous comment mentioned the words like things seemed faster, and like as that is something that they didn't feel in the manga, but I think it makes sense because when you're animating, things occur a lot faster than when you're reading a manga, because when you read a manga, you get more space between the pages, between one action and another, but in reality, those actions happen very quickly when it ends up being animated, because like a sword moving isn't going to take that long as it would take on a manga page. That may take like at least like 2 or 3 panels, or like in a shot, you know, like focusing on the faces and all that stuff. But like in reality, the point of the fights are mainly supposed to be like, this is happening super frequently and the agency has to be like on their toes, like they're being kept on their toes. They have to keep up with this speed of the hunting dogs that are literally chasing them, the agency, who are now interpreted to be terrorists in this season. So it's like they're chasing them diligently and in a way that leaves them constantly having to think of a way to get out of their current terrible situation. And I think that was conveyed very, very well. Like, I think the fast pace worked in terms of a whole chase plot line, that they are running out of ideas and how to get away from these people that are like just so powerful. I think the power of hunting dogs was conveyed perfectly for this season. It logically makes sense that this season feels like a fever dream where wild shit is happening like every 5 seconds. All I remember from the manga is that the manga had wild shit happening one after another, and it just kept happening. Like, it kept going and going, and we were just along for the ride in the manga. The anime felt exactly the same as that feeling I had when I read the manga, where it was like, whoa, this is happening right now, like what am I reading? That was me when I was reading the manga, and it's the same for the anime. It was, what is happening right now? You're constantly surprised by the events and how fast things are going, and like who is potentially gonna be dead, who is alive, who is gravely injured. Like, that was the appeal of this arc. It upped the action and the stakes for this arc, and kind of when I first started in the manga, it definitely surprised me. I did not expect a whole arc where the agency would be framed. Like, that never occurred to me that could happen. And when following through that arc of them being framed, it's just such an interesting arc, and I do not think I've seen another anime series do something like this, and it's just such an interesting concept. I don't know, I love Bungou Stray Dogs. I'm going on a tangent. Talking about it aloud is definitely getting me more hyped up than I did while I was watching the season, ironically. For some reason, talking about things kind of gets me more excited. Okay, what I wanted to say in summary is the anime nailed the aspect of wildness that I needed for the season to match the manga. Obviously, the arc isn't complete because, you know, like the season ends on a cliffhanger and it's not really like fully complete yet, but you know what I mean? Like, the wildness of the plot of the season was nailed. Wild things kept happening. Dazai being able to control his heart rate to send secret messages to Ango. Wild shit. Weird shit. I don't know what else to explain this, but things that are coming out of left field, or like strange, odd, weird, everything all put together. That was Bungou Stray Dogs this season. It is a wild set of circumstances, and things just keep going and going, and it's almost like a train wreck that just, it like cannot be stopped. It just, train just keeps going and going, and you know there's no way to stop. There's no brakes, that sort of situation, and you do not know where it's going. The season doesn't really give you a break other than for the flashback circumstance for like Yosuno, and then I guess at the beginning it isn't as, you know, like extremely high paced because of the Ranpo and Fukuzawa backstory. But other than that, this season was high stakes, fast paced, but it made sense for the general tone of a situation and the fact that the hunting dogs work quickly. The fast pace was a logical choice for me personally. The highlight of this season, or the episode which is thoroughly ingrained within my brain, is Yosuno's entire arc. This has been the arc I've been waiting for to be animated. I have been waiting for this to be animated for a long time. I love Yosuno's character. She's my favorite woman in this show. How she's written, the fact she's a doctor, I don't know, I just love her character entirely. I mean, I wouldn't be sewing an entire skirt to cosplay her, despite the fact I don't know how to sew and constantly need help from my mom and sister, if I didn't love her character. Of course I love a character. Her arc was phenomenal in the manga, and it was phenomenal in the anime. It nailed the entire horror elements which were needed for this, and it truly felt sickening what she had to go through. I don't want to say too much other than that this arc is probably one of my favorites. For the other agency members, other than like the main ones like Dazai and Atsushi, I think Yosuno's backstory arc is definitely my favorite among the other agency members. I could get if manga readers were disappointed with the other aspects of this season. Like if some people aren't up for a higher pace, I understand. Some people just don't like high-paced shows. Those are like personal preferences, but Yosuno's arc felt extremely spot on for me personally. This was the highlight of the entire season for me and had me falling for Yosuno's character all over again. I have no complaints. I enjoyed myself so much. It broke my heart to see it all over again, but I absolutely adored that Yosuno's character finally got the attention she deserved. And I remember when I read it in the manga, I was so happy that she was getting all this development, and I'm happy I got to see it animated and saw it treated so well and to be animated so beautifully. I cannot be more happy than I am that Yosuno finally got her arc animated, and I'm glad that the animators were able to handle the material well enough where I enjoyed it so much. In terms of what was adapted from the light novel, I must say the villain was really damn obvious. I don't know if it's because of season 1's introduction to Rampo, which has me questioning every police officer on screen and automatically assuming they're the killer. So when the reveal happened, I immediately knew he was going to be the villain, and I was like, yeah, that dude's suspicious. This is definitely the villain of this arc, and it turned out to be correct. So I predicted the villain. It was super obvious. I thought that there was going to be another twist that, oh, like the villain you think is a villain isn't the real villain. Like I was expecting something more, but nothing else happened. It was kind of just like, he is a villain, he is a culprit, and I predicted correctly that Rampo and Fukuzawa would be the backstory arc we would get, like the light novel adaptation for the season. Like I had a feeling that that would happen. I don't think it will be highly possible that we'll ever get Stormbringer animated because it doesn't really have any relevance for the current arcs that are going on. But Fukuzawa and Rampo would make sense to be animated because Rampo does a lot for this arc and it will be continuing to contribute throughout the arc. He is very important for this arc. So because of this, I expected it to be animated, but since I do not know what happens in the light novel, I've never read the light novel, I cannot make a comment on, how it was adapted. I've never read the light novel, I don't know its concept, but all I can say as an anime only was that like the villain was super obvious, and the only thing I could say about it was that I enjoyed seeing young Rampo being super adorable and how sweet Fukuzawa and Rampo's relationship was. I do think the anime nailed their like adorable relationship and how wholesome Fukuzawa is with Rampo, and he genuinely feels like a father to Rampo, at least for me personally. Like he basically just adopted him, and he also adopted Yosuno as well. So it's like, I don't know, he just is a great fatherly figure. I loved how he takes care of Rampo and just generally how much he cares about taking care of him, and then also take care of Yosuno as well when they end up having Yosuno. They end up taking care of Yosuno and, creating the agency. Basically, the plot of the arc was fairly predictable, but I don't know, I didn't mind it too much. I feel like it's very hard to nail who has done it when we have done that sort of arc before in terms of like Rampo solving crimes previously. So it's like, because I've seen it so many times, it becomes very easy to guess who could potentially have done it. And if you have experience watching those types of shows or like watching mystery shows and like guessing who could potentially be a killer or whatever, you might not enjoy it as much because like you could easily tell who has done it already. But I did not mind it. I still enjoyed like the animation choice of the changing of color when Rampo, his entire view of the world changes after Fukuzawa talks to him, and like the world gains color. Like I love that aspect of it. Great choice there. In terms of like what happens towards the end of the anime, I cannot recall like deeply whether or not Sigma's entire character and like the reveal, I can't help but think that they potentially also rushed Sigma's character and the reveal of like how he doesn't have a past. I feel like in the manga it might have been drawn out a bit more, or maybe I just misremembered things. I don't remember correctly, but I do think that perhaps they were rushing just to get to a specific point. It did feel like the last episode they were like struggling to get to the point that they want to end the season at. So I understood the fast pace for most of the fighting action parts, but for Sigma, I do feel like potentially they could have paused or like focused a bit more somehow, but because of the time constraints and like how they set up the episode, like the number of episodes they're allowed, I'm assuming they just couldn't leave that much time for the narration and the like explanation behind what is happening with Sigma and everything. Due to this, I think people who are fans of Sigma may have gotten the short end of the stick for this season. I do feel like there's probably a lot of like stans of Sigma or people who like super love his character. I could see slight disappointment from that, but for me, I am thinking continuing on for next season, we are going to be getting more of him, so I do not think things shall end here. We do know he's going to be alive because he's saved by Mr. Clown Man, who I just call Mr. Clown Man, even though he has an actual name. I just call him the Clown Man because he is basically a clown, and he has saved his life. So I'm very excited for the Sigma and Clown dynamic that is going to happen. I don't even know if he's actually a clown. He might be like a jester or a magician. I don't know, but he's just a clown to me. He's like a hysterical clown and very wild and ridiculous, and I love that for him. His outfit and design is very iconic. I do love his design. I also love Sigma's design, the dual colored hair where it's split in half. Love that shit. And when that happens with characters and it's pulled off, yes to that shit. Like, it looks so good. I could see manga readers being disappointed by the Sigma plotline for this season. I was okay with it because, as I said before, my memory is spotty and I kind of just end up going along for the ride for this season and enjoying it regardless. If people who have watched the season want more content, just go back and read the manga and you'll probably still have as much fun. But besides that, I do think this season was a solid, overall great season in comparison to season 3. I think that this season upped the stakes and had a lot more interesting plot line in comparison to season 3. I think the plot for this season was very fast-paced and a lot has happened and it keeps us on our toes, and I enjoy when the show keeps us on our toes and kind of forces you to like think a lot about what is going on, how everything is possibly fitting together, and where like loopholes come in terms of what is happening with the pages in the book, and how that totally affects what happens with Tachihara, and the fact that he is technically a mafia member allows a loophole in Fyodor's whole plan, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the little twists and turns of the season, and I enjoy the ridiculous nature of Dazai being able to control his heart rate. That is ridiculous and kind of stupid, but this is what happens in Bungou Stray Dogs. It is wild and ridiculous, and I think it's getting on the level, not the extreme level of JoJo, but it is slightly similar, not exactly the same, because JoJo is extremely ridiculous in a way that is like, I don't think it's possible to like match completely, but it is getting to that next level kind of JoJo-esque. We are now doing heart related things, controlling heart rates, sure, those sort of ridiculous plot lines that does not make sense with actual reality, but it is fun, it is funny, it is fun, and I'm here for it. I'm here for the funny times that we could have all together as we watch Bungou Stray Dogs. I do not think future seasons could miss as much as like that season 3 finale did. I think from here on, Bungou Stray Dogs will consistently be great. I do not think that they are going to be like going downhill or anything like that. I think this series has a solid hold on my heart, and I'm going to be thoroughly enjoying the future projects that are released. Obviously, there will be some differences from the manga, and I do think certain things manga readers enjoy can only possibly be enjoyed in the manga and just does not translate to animated media. I think there is slight differences in the media forms that can be appreciated and contrasted to each other, and I enjoy both aspects for different reasons. I enjoy the fast pace of the anime because it kind of feels like you're watching the scene in the moment, and it feels like you're there with them, struggling to get by and like adjust to these wild set of circumstances that just keep happening to them. And I also enjoy the manga that, you know, there are these moments where there's pauses and there's more time for you to just sit on the page and just like look it over and appreciate the art. There is a different aspect and pace to each media form, and I do think that you will likely get a slightly different experience from both forms of the media. Now we're going to get into the opening and ending song because why not give my opinion on everything? Let's talk about the opening first. This opening sucked ass, and I did try my best to like it by giving it a chance every time I watched an episode and listening to it all the way through, hoping it would get better, but it didn't. I just ended up disliking it more as time went on, so I cannot sit here and say it was a good opening when it didn't hype me at all each week, and this could be a potential reason why my extreme hype wasn't there whenever I sat down to watch an episode, because the opening sucked ass and I'm tired of lying to myself to be nice to Bungou Stray Dogs. No, we deserve better openings, and I think the choice for the opening this season was not strong enough to hold up for this particular season. Were the visuals great? Yes. Did I like the cool piano parts from 30 seconds in, and also when Fyodor's face with the flowers show up? Yes, I love the piano elements, but the chorus just doesn't hit properly and it bothers me. Where it leads up to is never satisfying to me, like in the previous openings where it feels like it has a satisfying build up to where it ends up towards the end of a song. And defenders of this opening might yell at me about like the meanings of the lyrics and that, you know, it had to be like specifically this type of sound due to what the agency is going through throughout the season, but there are other ways to convey, you know, like angst and devastation of one's reality. If they went the heavy metal route, I think even if I don't listen to heavy metal, I would have thought it sounded a bit more unique, and if they took more animation risks along with doing heavy metal, I think it would have looked amazing and nailed the feeling of this season, which is wildness and overall heartbreaking angst. Just picture Mr. Clownman being cut to while screaming or laughing hysterically with the metal scream going on in the background. Would that not slap? That would slap for me. If the opening was in darker colors and sketchier, I don't know, a bit more experimental in animation, I think it could have been a lot more fun to listen to and watch each week. Anyways, my point is I wanted to be blown away by the opening music. It wasn't a hype song for me, and the third season's opening sounded amazing, but the visuals weren't there. And this time, the visuals were on point. Like, I love the flowers coming out of Fyodor, like that shot is amazing, and other shots in the animation of opening were amazing. So this time the visuals were on point, but the sound wasn't amazing. So it was the opposite problem to what happened for season 3 opening, where the visuals weren't there, but like the opening was really good and it slapped. So I truly think the last perfect mix of visuals and sound was opening 2, or if we're counting the movie, the Dead Apple movie opening, because that shit went very hard and I was obsessed with it as well. The opening notes for the Dead Apple opening are so iconic. I can recall how excited I felt in the theater when I heard it for the first time, booming in my ears. I knew I was in for a treat because the song put me in such a hyped up mood. So folks, why the hell was the last most amazing season opening we had all the way back in season 2? Am I the only one waiting for an iconic song that just never happened? Or is my attachment to season 2's opening just too strong to be topped by any other season? I think it's potentially my attachment to the season 2 opening, and that's why no other openings have like wowed me or hyped me up as much as season 2's opening did. It could just be my very particular taste in music where this opening just did not do it for me. It was not catchy enough. It did not deliver what I wanted it to deliver sound-wise. Visual-wise, it looked great. Sound-wise, not so great. For the ending song of season 4, it was way better in comparison to this season's opening. The singer conveys a lot of emotion, and I really enjoy how he expresses the contemplative and almost bittersweet sound of the song. Similar to many ending songs, it sounded a tad bit sad, but almost fondly happy sounding. It's not my favorite ending, but I didn't think it was as terrible as the opening and enjoyed listening to it. I don't think it's a song I'd seek out to re-listen to often, but I think it's cute. Bungou Stray Dogs ending 1 and 2, I was so obsessed with. I have the full versions on my phone, both of those songs, and I recall re-listening to the third ending occasionally and having a lot of fun with it. So I don't think season 4 has the best ending when compared to the iconic other ones, but it's not as bad as the opening for this season. It delivered slightly better than this season's opening, so I'm happy for that. Otherwise, I do think the reason why I was not excited at the start of every single episode was because of the opening. The opening just reminded me of the fact that I did not like the opening every single time I heard it. So I was like, oh, this again. Each time I clicked a new episode, I was like, great, I will try to listen through it, and it just never hit for me. There are certain moments I do enjoy. Like I said, I like the little bits of piano we get in the background. I do like how the voice of the singer sounds. Their voice is great. It's just the instrumentals that bother me. I don't know how to explain it. I do not like the buildup. It just bothers me in a weird way that I cannot properly explain because I do not know the musical terminology for explaining why I would dislike the sound of this song. Other than that, it does not get me excited, and I do not feel satisfied from the buildup of the instrumentals in the background. It just felt a bit off for me. I don't really have much to say other than those like little specifics for the music. There's not much I could add to this video besides I enjoyed the season. I had fun with the season. As I said before, it is a wild season that feels similar to a Fever Dream. It is definitely up there in terms of like wild plots for a action series. I did enjoy this season. It was better than last season, and I do think there is a great future for Bungou Stray Dogs that I cannot wait to see animated. And however long it will take to be animated, I'm just glad I'm here along for the ride, and at some point I will get around to catching up with the manga. I just haven't had the chance. I am slowly getting back into the swing of things, and since I have had the chance to catch up with the Given manga, I might be in the mood to read Bungou Stray Dogs manga soon, since I was ready enough to read the Given manga after a long time of not reading it. So I will probably at some point similarly get back into Bungou Stray Dogs manga, just not yet. I have to be in the correct mood to enjoy the manga and be in the mood to read the manga. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this season. Go as much into detail as you want because this is a spoiler review that I did, so go into as many spoilers for this specific season as you want, not past like what happens at the end of the season. Let me know your thoughts. For manga readers, was this worth the hype? Like, did you enjoy yourself while watching the season? Do you have more nitpicks than I did? Let me know in the comments. I feel like a lot of people probably had a problem with the pace, which I didn't personally mind. Also, let me know if Sigma's arc was properly conveyed, because as I said before, my memory is spotty and I don't know if I have the time to like reread the manga chapters. Let me know if there was a bit more exposition on Sigma in the manga. Like, was there more in-depth narration type bubbles that I just totally forgot about, or like details that they just didn't give us that they took out in the anime? Because I think there might be potentially, or specifics that could be lost for anime onlys that they may be confused about. Let me know in the comments if there was anything specific like that. But other than those potential nitpicks people have, I don't see any problems with this season. I had a lot of fun watching it, even though I wasn't in the greatest mood last month and this month. I still love Bungou Stray Dogs to death. That it would be probably impossible for me to hate the season that I've been waiting to see for such a long time. Even if I wasn't as hyped as I watched it, I enjoyed my time watching it, and I still can't get over Yosunos Arc. I love it to bits, and I do not know how to end videos, so I'm just going to end it here. Chat all you want in the comments, and I'll hear from you all in my next video. Bye!